Welcome! All right, today we're going to dive right into the world of JavaScript. If you've ever wondered what makes the web actually work, what makes it click and move and respond to you, well, you are in exactly the right place. So let's get started.
Really think about it for a second. When you click a button or you watch a video or you see a live score update on a sports site, how does a web page suddenly just come alive and react to you? Well, the magic behind all of that interactivity almost every single time is JavaScript.
Here's probably the best way to think about it. If HTML is the skeleton of a web page, the basic structure, the headings, the paragraphs, then JavaScript, well, JavaScript is the engine. It's what gives it power. It's the action and the interactivity that turns a static, kind of boring document into a real application.
But hey, we're not just going to sit here and talk theory. Nah, to get a real feel for what writing JavaScript is actually like, we have a mission. We are going to build a simple, fully functional, guess the number game from the ground up together.
Now, before we write even a single line of code, we have to do the most important thing any programmer does. We have to make a plan. It's all about learning to think like a programmer first.
So this is our task. Seems simple enough, right? But a programmer's first job isn't to just start typing like crazy. No way. It's to stop, think, and break this request down into a series of clear, logical steps. And this is what that thinking produces, a game plan. See how we've turned a simple idea into an actual set of steps? We'll generate a number, get a guess, check it, give feedback, handle the ending, and then let the player start all over again. This step-by-step logic, this is the absolute heart of programming.
Okay, so now that we have our blueprint, we need the right tools to actually build it. So let's take a look at the basic JavaScript concepts that are going to form our little programming toolbox.
The very first tool we need is something called a variable. And the easiest way to think of it is just as a labeled box. Seriously, it's just a container where we can store a piece of information that we're going to need later, like, say, the secret number or the player's current score.
And here's what that looks like in our game. This line of code right here, it just creates a box called guessCount, and it puts the number 1 inside. That's it. Simple as that. And now we have a way to keep track of which turn the player is on.
Next up in our toolbox is the function. Think of a function like a recipe. You write down the instructions once, you give it a name, and then whenever you need it, you just call the recipe instead of having to write everything all out again. It's all about working smarter, not harder.
In our game, the check-guess function is our main recipe. It holds all the instructions for what happens when a player submits their guess. This is the core action of our entire game, all bundled up and ready to go whenever we need it.
All right, now for the brains of the operation, the conditional. This is how our program makes decisions. It lets us ask these simple questions, like, hey, is the player's guess correct? And then run specific bits of code based on whether the answer is yes or no.
And check out how simple that looks in actual code. This line is literally just asking a question. If the user guess is the same as the random number, and if the answer is yes, then the code inside those squiggly brackets runs, and the player gets a congratulations message. That's it. That's decision-making in action.
All right, we have our plan. We have our tools. It is time to put it all together. Let's build this thing.
So, let's get into the heart of it. When a player clicks Submit, what actually happens inside that check-guess function we made? How does it decide what to do next? It follows this perfect little decision tree. First, the code asks, is the guess correct? If yes, boom, you win. If no, it asks the next question. Is this the very last turn? If yes, sorry, game over. Otherwise, it just tells you if you were too high or too low and gets ready for the next guess. It's just a cascade of simple questions.
But wait a second. How does our check-guess function even know when to run? That's where the event listener comes in. It's this special piece of code that patiently listens for something to happen on the page, like a user clicking their mouse.
And this single line is what connects the user to our code. It basically tells the submit button, hey, you, listen for a click, and the moment you hear one, run our check-guess function. It's the crucial bridge between the web page and our JavaScript.
One last powerful tool for our game is the loop. Loops are automation superstars. They let you perform a task over and over and over again, like, say, cleaning up 10 different messages on the screen without having to write the same line of code 10 times.
And this is absolutely perfect for when we need to reset our game. See, to start a new round, we need to clear out all those old too high or too low messages. Instead of removing them one by one,
A loop just cycles through and clears them all out automatically. It's clean, it's simple, and it's incredibly efficient.
And just like that, our game is built. But before we celebrate, it's really important to step back and look at what we've actually accomplished here, because it's so much more than just a simple game.
You didn't just type some characters on a screen. You put fundamental programming concepts into practice. You learned to think logically, to store data using variables, to package up actions into functions, to make decisions with conditionals, and to react to user input with events. These right here, these are the absolute building blocks of the entire interactive web.
So just take a moment. You've seen how to take a static page and, with just a handful of concepts, breathe life right into it. You've taken the first and most important step. The only question left is, what are you going to build next?